So if you are a geography optional student, here is the course for you. We have this optional program with the Shield IS, and the course is starting from 24th of June 2024. And you can see we have daily classes, in-depth coverage of subject, class backup of video material, then exclusive study material, writing practices, and also we have performance mapping, continuous mentorship on personal basis, and also the main examination support. So remember, this course is going to be a great course for people who are really in need of a personal mentorship and a live course. So you can connect with us at the Shield IS, and the number is given on your screen. And also on Shield IS website, you'll find many other popular courses like for GS courses, optional foundation courses, Achieve course, and also NCERT courses. So please go to the website shieldis.in and get your course. So now let's begin today's session. That is every day from Monday to Friday, we do it at 9 p.m. And also, if you want to get this material, our Telegram link is there in the description. And for our courses at Shield IS, you can visit the website shieldis.in. Now, the topics that we are listing for today is related to all biodiversity, conservation, flora, fauna, and related topics. So conservation of flora and fauna is going to be very important, where 1 or 2 questions are definitely being asked every year. So UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. This is something which is very important, 2021 to 2030. And a question related to anything for ecosystem restoration could be part of it. So biosphere restoration is very important. And remember, in China, it was also in news. Now, it was first proposed by El Salvador. Remember, Mesoamerican country, El Salvador, during Bonn Challenge, right? So this is 2018. Right now, about 71 countries supported the proposal during 73rd session of UN General Assembly in 2018, and then we had this finally in 2021 to 2030 on 1st March 2019. Now, what is the rationale behind it? So, ecological, social, and developmental priority. And here is the schematic diagram given for you. So, if you have downloaded this material from our Telegram link, you'll get it, and you can take a quick reading from here. Now, coming to the next thing, that it is very important for preservation of ecosystem for future generations, and aim of UN Decade of Restoration. Here, if you observe, it's given in these points. So many times the statement-based questions are asked that which of the following is correct about this particular UN Decade of Ecosystem Restoration. So this is the aim and objective. So build a common vision, mainstream ecosystem restoration in policy and planning, reducing biodiversity loss and vulnerability to climate change, fostering a holistic approach to achieving international commitments and national priorities, right? Then you have enhanced cooperation and resource mobilization, encouraging partnerships and investments, promoting cooperation between fund providers, governments, civil societies, and also raising awareness is very important here. Now, UN Decade also aims to promote a concerted and holistic landscape-focused approach. So this is very important. Coming to the next topic, we have Environment Performance Index, EPI 2022. Now, if you look into Environment Performance Index 2022, and also we have this Climate Change Performance Index 2024, where India is doing really well. So you can look into these indexes sometimes, right? So if you observe, this is prepared by Yale and Columbia universities, and Denmark is ranked at the top here, right? India scored 18.9. So these are the things that you need to remember about the ranking. The details are given here, so that reading is important. So all the readings are given, mentioned here clearly. Now, most low-scoring countries such as Myanmar and Vietnam are those that have prioritized economic growth over sustainability. This is very important to look into. So if you observe here, this is very simple: environmental health, ecosystem vitality, and climate. 3 things, right? Part of EPI. So you can look into what are the 3 things here clearly given. Now, further, what you observe here, 7 indicators. So this is where a multiple choice question can be put in. What are the 7 indicators? So look here: PM 2.5 exposure, household solid fuels, ozone exposure, nitrogen oxides, then you have sulfur dioxide exposure, carbon monoxide exposure, volatile organic compound. These are very important to determine air quality in the listed countries. So India is home to 21 of the 30 most polluted cities that you observe here, right? Now look into the greenhouse gases. We already have talked about earlier as well. And also Indonesia, India, and USA, Brazil, Thailand are top 5 producers of ocean plastic pollution. This is something very important. We are responsible for 43% of global. So this is very important. Now come to International Union for Conservation of Nature. So IUCN red list, and also very importantly, it's working and functioning. So here red list category, here in extinct you have EX, EW. The EX is basically no reasonable doubt that the last individuals have died. This is EX, completely extinct. EW is extinct in wild. It means they may be surviving in a zoo or in a protected environment, but in wild they are not found anymore. Then you have CR category from threatened. So it's CR is critically endangered category. Then you have endangered, which is EN, facing a very high risk of extinction in the wild. Vulnerable is VU, facing high risk of extinction in the wild. And NT is near threatened. So this is threatened, right? The level of threatening is greater. And here is least concern category. And then you have something called LC, that is least concern, and data deficient, DD category. So look into all these categories here, and examples we'll be doing. So very importantly, this is something which every year you have one question from maybe IUCN category and one or two species. So species specifically we are going to do in the next lecture. So what is this CITES here? Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. Now why is this important? Because since 1975 this CITES regulation has come into place, and it was very important for the protection of wild flora and fauna, especially for illegal trading, right? There are 5,800 species of animals and 30,000 species of plants protected by CITES here. And in June 2019, CITES had 183 party governments. So this is very important, and first conceived at 1963 meeting of IUCN. So this is important. Now let's look into the appendices of the CITES. So first is Appendix 1, where you find danger of extinction because of international trade. Now look here, Sumatran tiger is in the list 1 here, if you observe. Then Appendix 2 is aren't facing imminent extinction but need monitoring. So here American ginseng, right? It's a very important herb. And Appendix 3 is basically looking into that the address is basically into legal origins of it. So this is very important. Here the species protected by at least one country has to be looked into. So this is very important. That's why you see Florida softshell turtle has been put in Appendix 3. So these are the protected species where at least one country, when the country asks others for help in regulating the trade here. Now Convention on Biological Diversity. So CBD, multilateral treaty, the birth of it happens in 1992 from Rio Earth Summit. And this is basic idea to conserve biological diversity and looking into the sustainable usage of genetic resources as well. So here Convention on Biodiversity or Biological Diversity has two supplementary protocols, right? Very important. So Cartagena. Now look at this Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety. So Cartagena is one of the places where you have a lot of biodiversity. That's why Cartagena Protocol is very important. So Cartagena on Biosafety too. Convention on Biological Diversity is an international treaty governing movements of living or modified organisms, right? Nagoya Protocol, very important. So access to genetic resources and fair equitable sharing of benefits. So that's important here. Now, these are the protocols which are important. Apart from this, if you observe this Aichi biodiversity targets, right? So this is certain species where the targets have been fixed. 20 new biodiversity targets are there. So look here. 20 Aichi targets are divided into 5 sections. So strategic goal A, where you have to maintain the causes of biodiversity loss by mainstreaming, right? Then strategic goal B, C, D, E, right? So here direct pressures on biodiversity, improve status of biodiversity by safeguarding ecosystems, and enhance the benefits to all form biodiversity ecosystem services. Then you have enhanced implementation through participatory planning, knowledge sharing, and management. Now comes to protected areas. So here national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, and of course biosphere reserves. Every year one or the other question is there. So looking into that, we'll be taking the map as well. So separately we'll be doing biosphere reserves and the new additions and things in maybe national parks and species. But right now we're looking into species and genus. So types of species, if you observe, there are some flagship species. So chosen to represent. So flagship, the word itself tells you it represents the ecosystem. Indicator species, essentially when it indicates the presence of particular species and also the health of ecosystem. And keystone is very important because this is the key. If it does not survive, the other doesn't survive. So these are the important ones. So look into these species: Indian tiger, elephant, giant panda of China, and lichens and mosses, amphibian, fishes, and here you say top predators, mostly tiger. So these are the basic ecology concepts. Please do a revision and then look into the traffic. So wildlife trade monitoring network, this is called traffic, 1976 non-governmental organization, and it is a joint program between WWF and IUCN. right? So its mission is to ensure trade in wildlife, plants and animals is not, a threat to the nature. So this is important. Come to Wildlife Protection Act 1972. So you can look into all the schedules here. This is just mentioned. A good content for revision has been mentioned here. So launching a national component of UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Reserve program in 1971 was very important. And now everything in India is under this particular act. So it's an umbrella act, if you observe. Now there are certain species, like say, for example, vermin. Now, vermin means wild animals and birds which are harmful to crops, farm animals, and which also carry diseases. So if a species is declared vermin, so it can be directly taken care by the locals or the authorities, and they can be even killed. So this is something where vermin, and there are examples in India, like say monkeys of Himachal Pradesh, and there are many other vermin. So they are sometimes declared as vermin. So remember these species. So go through this Wildlife Protection Act 1972 carefully. And wetlands are where new wetlands are added every year. So this year also wetlands were added. And remember, wetland ecosystem and Ramsar Convention, wise use of wetlands is very important. And there is a record file called Montreux Record where all the list is there. Now here, if you observe, two Montreux Record sites in India here, Loktak Lake in Manipur, due to deforestation in catchment area, infestation of water hyacinth and pollution, there is a problem here, right? Kevaladev National Park, water shortage has been there. Chilika Lake was placed in the record but later removed from it. So these are some of the things that you should always remember. Now, Wetlands International is a non-profit organization here, established in 1937, also looks into it. So International Wildfall Inquiry and headquarters in Netherlands, and it is an independent non-for-profit organization supported by government and NGO. So this is Wetlands International. Also Asian Waterbird Census. So annual event across Asia and Australasia, if you observe, for waterbirds, and happens in January every year. Right now, International Waterbird Census (IWC) is there, and also we have the Bombay Natural History Society (BNHS). This is where in India the AWC is annually coordinated by BNHS. So remember, Wetland International, this organization, and BNHS, they look into AWC. Now, National Wetland Conservation Program, if you observe here, NWCP, right from 1986, we have been doing it in collaboration with the state government, right? So government operationalized this NWCP in 1986, that you should remember. And wetland conservation and management rules are there. So these are the rules, right? So it has to be of international importance and notified by UTs and government. And also it's very important to look into EIA, environmental impact assessment is compulsory before taking any activity near this wetland area. So this is one of the areas. Then 12 activities, including fishing, boating, dredging, are restricted without prior permission, and some prohibitions in terms of reclamation of land, construction of permanent structures within 50 meter is also prohibited. So these things are to be understood because there is a statement-based questions where you can be asked this. Now, World Biosphere Reserve Day. So November 3 is the day, and UNESCO in 2022, it was established November 3. And look into biosphere reserves in India. So we have got you the map as well, so you can take a quick revision. It's a strictly protected site. Now, countries with highest biosphere reserve, look at this. Spain has 53, Russia has 48, Mexico has 42, China has 34, USA 28, Italy 20, and then Indonesia 19, Canada 19, India is here. Right. So if you observe, we have Spain, Russia, Mexico, China, USA, Italy, Indonesia, Canada, and then India. Then France, Germany, Kazakhstan, Argentina. So 53, Spain is the highest, that you should remember. Man and Biosphere program you can look into since 1971. Now, this is the list here. So state-wise, you can practice a map. As if you can remember this, it will be very good for you. 18 biosphere reserves we have. Now, come to the next one, Global Tropical Primary Forest. So this is very important Global Forest Watch report. And here in 2022, areas lost 4.1 million hectares of forest cover was the part of it. So what is important here? Top countries for primary tropical forest loss. Where is the maximum loss? Brazil, Amazonia is under threat. Then you have Democratic Republic of Congo, Bolivia, Indonesia, Peru, Colombia. Look into the losses that we are looking around the world, right? Then you have Belém Declaration in news. So very important, Amazon Cooperation Treaty Organization, ACTO, right? This was organized by ACTO. And here in 1995, 8 nations decided. And then member countries, if you observe this, Bolivia, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, Guyana, then you have Peru, Suriname, the Venezuela. So all these are very important, and Amazonian development is important. So you look into the map here. This is where it operates here, right? So just take a reading of the map of Amazon rainforest and the country nearby and important things around it. So maybe you can get a question here, lungs of the earth it is called. Then you have something related to the declaration by ACTO, the Manos Declaration here. So Manos Declaration 2004, it's a pivotal role player in basically looking into the rainforest area and its protection. And Belém Declaration 2023, we have already talked about it. So Amazon Summit, Amazon rainforest is on UN's watch list. So it's very important. Come to coral bleaching. So you never know, there is a question from coral bleaching as well. So these are the basics about coral bleaching. We're not talking about it because we have a separate video already available in oceanography playlist on our YouTube channel for coral bleaching. You can go and watch there. But what is important here in coral bleaching is to look into the anthropogenic threats specifically, and here predators also, right? So these are the two areas where a question is definite. Acanthaster plancy, also known as crown of thorns starfish, this eats the coral during night. So maybe this can be asked as a question, right? Come to Project Tiger, then you have very important things in India related to Project Tiger. And since Wildlife Protection Act was drawn in 1972, we have done a lot of work in this area. So here, the notable conservationist Dr. Kailash Sankhala made a personal appeal to Prime Minister Mrs. Indira Gandhi for this, and that's where the story begins. Now, if you observe, Jim Corbett Tiger Reserve in Uttarakhand was the first one to be called for, and then if you observe, there are 53 tiger reserves established in India, and each tiger reserve is divided into two areas, core area or buffer area, and recently Supreme Court had a notification that now these core areas will not be allowed for the tourists, considering the problems that are being caused. So these are some of the areas that you should look into. Now, core, buffer, all these areas here, and tourism, according to NTCA guidelines, up to 20% of core area. So this is something you need to look into. Now, looking further ahead, if you observe NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority here, the authority details are given. So this is the authority that looks into the standards of tourist guidelines, information protection measures, coordination and monitoring, eco development, people's participation. All these are its features. Now come to Global Tiger Recovery Program 2.0. So Global Tiger Recovery Program 2.0 23-24 released at Thimphu in Bhutan, right? This is important. So International Tigers Day 2023 in July. Now World Bank in 2020, this is GTRP, was the first one to be launched. So this is 2.0. And now Worldwide Fund for Nature is a collaborator here. So WWF is also a collaborator in this. Now, what are the initiatives? So look into this. St. Petersburg Declaration on Tiger Conservation. So it was adopted in 2010 here. Now 13 TRCs are Bangladesh, Bhutan, Cambodia, China, India, Indonesia, Laos. Then you have Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal, Russia, Thailand, and Vietnam. So Global Tiger Recovery Program is very important for the countries which are having tiger population. Now go ahead further. If you observe here, Simlipal Tiger Reserve. So you can see Simul is silk cotton tree. So Simlipal, Mayurbhanj district. And then they have twin peaks of Khairiburu and Meghashini. So these are the peaks out there. Then you have look into these, the prominent among them, rivers that you observe here. So then you have Burabalanga, Palpala Bandan, then you have Salandi, then you have Kahiri, and then you have Deo. So all these rivers are somewhat important in that particular area. Now look into this history and current affairs. So that's also important here. So now coming to what is important, Kolha, Santhala, Bhumija, Bhatodi, Gondas, Khadia, Mankadia, and Sara. These are the prominent tribes living in that particular area. So Mayurbhanj Elephant Reserve is also important here. So Sariska Tiger Reserve, another one. So here you will have a lot of hawk trees which are very famous, 90% of the area. And remember, home to India's largest population of peafowl. Then you have Silsar Lake here on the edge of the park, which is having a lot of crocodile population, and medieval temples of Gar Rajor are there. And these are some of the things that you should remember. Then you have Satkosia Tiger Reserve. So once it was also asked in the map section for geography optional, maybe they'll ask you something related to it. Angul district of Odisha. Then you have Kalakka Tiger Reserve. So look into it. So it's Interstate Agastyamalai Biosphere Reserve, part of it, Tamil Nadu here, Kalakkat. And now if you see here further, you have Bandipur National Park. So take a look into this as well. So here you are going into the Chamarajanagar district of Karnataka. And this is again very important for Project Tiger, and it's also part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve since 1986. So these are some of the important ones. This Nugu River is the small river that runs through the park here, right? And what you observe here, Nagara Hole Tiger Reserve. So this Nagara Hole Tiger Reserve previously was known as Rajiv Gandhi National Park, right? And is named Nagara Hole, which literally means serpent stream. That is Nagara, serpent, and hole is stream in Kannada language, right? So the protected area located in both districts of Mysuru and Kodagu, and this was declared 37th Tiger Reserve in 1999. It's part of Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. Then you have Ramona National Park. So you look into Kokrajhar district of Assam, you'll find it Ramona here, right? And then you have Dihing Patkai National Park here, right? So these are some of the important. Sankosh River is the important river here. So look into Dihing Patkai, right? Elephant is very important here. And if you observe, Dihing Patkai Elephant Reserve under Project Elephant is very importantly listed, and it has 47 other species of reptiles and mammals also. Illegal coal mining was where the news was from here, right? So this is important. Look into Pakki Tiger Reserve. So you have Kisang district of Arunachal, Pakki Tiger Reserve, Pakhui Tiger Reserve. That's very important biodiversity hotspot, Eastern Himalayan region. And then you have Manas National Park, so Pygmy Hog Conservation Program, PHCP, right? So wild hog, you can remember that. And also remember, this is one of the World Heritage Sites here, Manas. So since 1985. And you have pristine Terai grasslands seen merging with Bhabha grasslands only in this Manas National Park. Then you have Operations Olivia. Now this Operation Olivia is related to olive ridley turtles, right? Indian Coast Guard declared this in 1980s, Operation Olivia. So you can remember this olive ridley turtles, right? So vulnerable list here under International Union for Conservation, IUCN red list. So it's in the vulnerable VU category that you can remember. And their mass nesting is called Aribada. So this is one of the terminology. And the last for today is Kaziranga National Park. So remember, Golaghat, Karbi Anglong and Nagaon district of Assam, 2/3 of the world's great one-horned rhino, very famous. So remember these national parks and all, every year you have to take a revision before preliminary examination. So this is just a brief revision. You can go into the details of each and take a quick revision, because one or the other is going to definitely be part of our question. So thank you for this session, and I'll see you for the next session tomorrow. Best wishes. So if you are a geography optional student, here is the course for you. We have this optional program with the Shield IS, and the course is starting from 24th of June 2024. And you can see we have daily classes, in-depth coverage of subject, class backup of video material, then exclusive study material, writing practices, and also we have performance mapping, continuous mentorship on personal basis, and also the main examination support. So remember, this course is going to be a great course for people who are really in need of a personal mentorship and a live course. So you can connect with us at the Shield IS, and the number is given on your screen. And also on Shield IS website, you'll find many other popular courses, like for GS courses, optional foundation courses, Achieve course, and also NCERT courses. So please go to the website shieldis.in and get your course.